Tunics twirling in the air, vibrant silk saris, serene white dhotis. Can these textiles be considered co-performers in a choreography? Moving with the dancing body, woven or stitched fabrics worn by performers enable them to narrate stories through their various designs and colors, textures, and flows. In the South Asian context, costumes are crucial to most performing arts practices. In fact, alongside movements, gestures, speech, and facial expressions, aharya, Sanskrit for costume, makeup, and body ornamentation, is considered one of the 4 major modes of abhinaya or expression. Rather than simply serving aesthetic purposes or creating visual spectacles, textiles also become a means to express and embody the emotions of the performance. In her book Dance of the Weave, published in 2013, American photographer Briana Blasko documents the centuries-old interaction between hand-woven textiles and traditional movement practices in India. Let's hear from Blasko herself and delve deeper into her work.
In a way, the making of Dance of the Weave is a culmination of years of my research. I started the project with a very open mindset, looking at folk dancers, hereditary dance communities, and also explored classical dances and martial arts. I began the book trying to document as much as I could, and then a couple of years into the process, with this very expansive mindset, I then tried to be more discerning and limit my photography to mostly classical dance and martial arts. And then, in the later part of the bookmaking process, I began to open back up again as I wanted to include other forms like contemporary dances and figures like Parvati Baal.
Across her photographs, Blasko's lens captures a sense of movement and materiality in conversation with each other. How do these images decipher the tactile negotiations between dancers and their costumes? Let's take a closer look. In her photograph of dancer Ashavari Majumdar performing the chakkar or spins, quintessential to Kathak, a classical dance form from North India, Blasko brings our attention to her angrakha. Tied around the waist, the traditional cotton tunic floats in the air, creating circles in space as it twirls with her body. On closer inspection, one can almost feel the weight of the dancer transfer onto the light fabric of the moving angrakha. The feeling is elicited yet again in her photographs of Kathak dancer Namrata Pamnani in her studio. In these, along with the play of stillness and fluidity, we observe the entire body engaged in a sensory exercise as the dancers allow the textiles they wear to weave their own choreography. In another one of her images featuring 2 Odissi dancers, Blasko directs the viewer's gaze towards the pleats of the white khandua, a traditional ikat sari from Odisha. The repetition of colorful temple border motifs, buttas, and the pleats on the sari, draped in the dhoti style, add a certain rhythm to the image. As we see here, the ways in which the drapes flow or make creases also accentuate, shape, or mask the contours of the dancers' bodies, thereby elevating and complementing the postures that are integral to the form. The relationship shared by dancers and their costumes is therefore an intimate, tactile one. The textile inhabits performing bodies, tracing and defining their silhouettes. As you may have already noticed, many of these photographs that survey drapes, textures, and patterns of the textiles used in Indian dance are captured backstage, outdoors, or during rehearsals and practice sessions.
My intention in the making of Dance of the Weave, a book about Indian textiles and dance, was to capture as much hand-woven textiles as I could, but that wasn't always the reality. Many dancers in rural areas and cities are wearing synthetic materials on stage. Rather than photographing dancers on stage and in performance, I chose to work with them in an intimate, collaborative way, and you'll see how they're practicing in cotton dhotis and saris.
Let us now shift our focus for a moment onto the significance of color in textiles. In this photograph, we see Bharatanatyam dancer Lavanya Anant wearing a practice sari while posing in a temple with her back against the camera. The shades used in the costume of haldi or turmeric and kumkum or vermilion are regarded as auspicious and significant in ceremonial practices of women from certain communities in India. In forms like Kathakali, colors have also been used traditionally to determine a character and define their attributes. For instance, the actor portraying Krishna, one of the most revered deities in Hinduism, is depicted wearing a heavily layered yellow skirt. He wears the pacha or green makeup, indicative of his noble, pious traits. Similarly, in line with its monastic origins, Kshatriya dancers wear a white attire, often accompanied by long meters of undyed cotton cloth wrapped around their heads as turbans. Much like the off-white costume used in the Mohiniyattam dance form, the color reflects a certain simplicity and subtlety that the forms display. In addition to focusing on the postures and movements of the dancer, Blasko also captures processes of textile making to further emphasize ideas of rhythm and synchrony. In one such image, we see a dancer pose with her brightly colored pink sari, with wooden looms from the weaver's studio in the background.
I love to photograph the effort and beauty that goes into making something. The weaver's studio felt like the perfect backdrop that first year of photographing for the book. The weaver was often present working on the loom while we were taking pictures. With no music other than the rhythm of the loom in the background, the dancer improvised while we explored the movements of textile.
Blasko also captures the intricate processes of dye making in a series of photographs. Her lens brings our focus onto the indigo dyers and their movement as they work in the vats. These highlight the time and labor-intensive processes of textile production.
I spent a couple of days photographing the indigo laborers. On the first day of harvest, I was with women workers who were chopping down the thick, shrub-like indigo plant. After the harvest, the indigo leaves and stems were brought back to the main dyeing area, and the plants were immersed in large vats of water and soaked overnight. The next morning, the plants were removed from the water, and male laborers entered the pool of turquoise blue water. They started to move their legs in a synchronized movement, a process of oxidation which is central to the making of this brilliant blue color. With their legs in dramatic motion, the pacing and timing of their movements had a simple rhythm. After the oxidation was complete, the blue liquid thickens, the indigo cakes are made, and they are finally set in the sun for drying.
Foregrounding the work of textile makers alongside those of dancers, Blasko highlights the different forms of labor and artistry that go into the creation of a performance. Across her photographs spanning many geographies and traditions, she offers a sensitive lens through which we can view textiles in the context of movement practices.